WNBA free agency off to a blazing start. We got news coming out of the desert in Phoenix, Arizona. The unicorn, Satou Sabally, will not be returning to the Phoenix Mercury. I told you this new CBA free agency, it is changing the entire landscape of
Phoenix is staring down a cold, hard truth that's currently shattering the league's status quo. This fresh collective bargaining agreement flipped the script on everyone. You simply can't hoard 3 max salary stars and expect to surround them with winners. The arithmetic just falls apart. Brittany Griner's bag is set. Meanwhile, Diana Taurasi, even in her twilight years, still demands top-tier respect and heavy checks. Kalea Copper just scorched the earth and naturally wants a payday to match. A casualty was inevitable, but the drama gets deeper. Satou held all the cards. She's 29, hitting her absolute peak, and possesses a toolkit unlike anyone else in the game. Imagine a 7-footer dropping 18 and 8 while shooting 37% from deep. That's way beyond a max contract. She's a cornerstone talent, yet we can't ignore her reputation for being a vocal malcontent. Let's be real, Satou is hunting that max deal. She spent all last year making noise about her bank account. She wants her riches. Who's actually going to fork over the cash for Satou Sabally? Let's get honest about the vibe she brings to the room. She's never been quiet about her worth. Throughout the previous season, she made it loud and clear that she felt snubbed and underpaid. She took those grievances to the streets, broadcasting that she'd be collecting every penny she's owed come free agency. Phoenix saw this storm brewing. They spent months trying to squeeze these numbers together, but the puzzle pieces wouldn't fit. Shift your focus to the newcomers. The Golden State Valkyries are sitting on a mountain of cash with a completely clean slate. They're hunting for a superstar, a definitive icon for a new era. Satou Sabally checks every box on that wish list. She brings the skills, the star power from her Dallas days, and the proven ability to shine when the lights are brightest. Her next move is going to be pure theater. Seriously, the market is absolutely flooded with available talent right now. I suspect the Golden State Valkyries are going to launch a massive offensive to land Satou. It's easy to envision Golden State making a play for her. I could see Portland or Toronto jumping in too. These cities could throw a max offer her way, handing her the keys as the undisputed #1. The line of suitors will be long. She's going to be the belle of the ball, likely making a seismic impact if she lands in places like Portland or Toronto. Fresh franchises are starving for that immediate cultural explosion. You can't launch an expansion project on nothing but role players and wishful thinking. You need that gravitational force who transforms an entire organization the second they arrive. Satou is that game changer. She could step into the Golden State locker room and take charge as the primary scoring threat on day one. That was a luxury she never truly had in Phoenix, with Diana still holding the crown. But there's a dark side. Satou forced her way out of Dallas. Her outspoken nature regarding her salary has often veered into being a flat-out distraction for her teammates. Any front office offering her the max is gambling that a fat paycheck and the spotlight will finally quiet the complaining. The Wings found out the hard way that collecting talent doesn't automatically translate to locker room harmony. They paired Satou with Arike and surrounded them with talent, yet it never clicked. She eventually wanted a way out. Now Phoenix is stuck in the same loop, massive talent then gone. It mirrors the Skylar Diggins-Smith exit perfectly. Speaking of Skylar, she just dropped this poetic tribute to her Indiana roots, gushing about how there's no basketball like Hoosier basketball. Is this a blatant audition to join forces with the Indiana Fever? To be perfectly blunt, I'm out. I want absolutely no part of Skylar Diggins-Smith teaming up with Caitlin Clark in Indiana. I've watched the movie before. I saw exactly how Skylar operated behind the scenes. Jewel Lloyd and Nneka didn't want the drama in Seattle, and the coaching staff felt the same way. They wanted no part of it. Let's keep it 100. I remember the constant clashing in Phoenix when she was bumping heads with Diana Taurasi and the Mercury. I wouldn't touch that locker room dynamic with a 10-foot pole if she's involved. Let's pivot to the other bombshell free agency plot, Skylar Diggins-Smith and her sudden love affair with Indiana. She posted this emotional tribute to growing up there, describing basketball as less of a sport and more of a holy religion. She's painting herself as a child of the corn, vowing she's never lost sight of her Midwestern foundation. The timing of this is incredibly fishy. Indiana just rode the Caitlin Clark wave to the biggest season the league has ever witnessed. They were selling out arenas and shattering viewership records. Now they've got the cap space and open slots to make moves. And suddenly, here's Skylar, a Notre Dame icon and Indiana native, professing her undying love right as the market opens. On the surface, the narrative is perfect. The veteran floor general returns to mentor the generational phenom. The hometown hero returns. It's cinematic, but there's a catch. Skylar brings baggage that Indiana can't risk around Caitlin Clark. My apologies, but pass. You clearly want to be the one commanding the floor constantly. That specific brand of reserve isn't required. Give us someone content with 8 or 10 minutes who stays silent, focuses on the grind, and puts winning first. Honestly, dealing with Skylar Diggins is a headache I cannot afford right now. Look, her talent is undeniable. She commands the backcourt well, yet a cloud of chaotic energy seems to trail her everywhere she goes throughout this professional circuit. Truthfully, I am completely finished with trying to manage these veteran personalities from the previous era of the game. Keeping it 100%, I am out on that. However, observe this emotional statement Skylar Diggins released regarding her deep connection to the state of Indiana. There is a specific segment I need to highlight before we dive into the full video for everyone to hear. Witness this. The journey begins now. Examine her history. Seattle showed her the exit quickly. Coach Noel Quinn essentially forced her departure after only a single year on the roster. Earlier, her stint in Phoenix involved clashing with Diana Taurasi, which sparked massive internal friction. Her constant movement between teams isn't due to some deficiency in skill. She belongs in the starting lineup, yet the baggage she carries is immense. Indiana must avoid that toxicity. With Caitlin Clark already established as the cornerstone, they have world-class leadership directing their offense every single night. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell faces her own free agency hurdles, while potentially feeling uneasy about Stephanie White taking the reins as the new head coach. Plus, Alia Boston is currently evolving into an unstoppable force within the paint. The roster cannot handle another massive ego demanding high usage and constant playtime. Just imagine the lofty expectations Skylar would bring into that locker room. She won't sign here just to ride the pine for 8 minutes. Despite being 34, this veteran views herself as a focal point. Yet, Caitlin Clark just delivered a debut performance that shattered historical records for any newcomer. She topped the charts in playmaking and crushed the all-time season assist tally. The offense belongs to her, end of story. How does she even integrate? She claims she wants to come home to the Indiana fans who treat hoops like a religion. I admire the passion. I truly do. I actually watched Skylar Diggins transform into a star from the very start of her career. I vividly recall her dominating the All-American showcase while I cheered for her during those legendary Notre Dame seasons. She was the absolute pinnacle of the college game back then, a massive icon. But here lies the real problem. Her fame at Notre Dame was astronomical. Had modern endorsement deals existed, she would have banked millions long before stepping onto a professional floor. Her influence was unmatched. She owned the endorsements and the media glare, serving as the premier icon for the women's game for several years. Surrendering that level of glory is incredibly difficult. Today, she witnesses Caitlin Clark receiving that identical adoration, though it is now intensified tenfold by the modern digital landscape we live in. Clark is currently reaping all the fame and fortune that Skylar likely believes she rightfully earned during her own prime years. That creates a very volatile environment for any team. I simply refuse to engage with that. Not happening. The staff is already managing Stephanie White's traditional style, while handling the narratives being pushed by Breon January and others. The plate is already overflowing. I lack the emotional bandwidth to tackle any more complications. This organization cannot withstand the whirlwind Skylar Diggins brings. She will arrive expecting a level of reverence that just does not exist here anymore. Hear me out. We strictly need a humble bench contributor. Skylar would be a phenomenal addition for a different squad seeking veteran leadership at the point. She is a verified elite talent, not some bench warmer. The woman can play and remains a first-string caliber guard. I am strictly against bringing Skylar into the Fever organization. That is my firm position on this matter. Basketball is our entire existence. It truly is everything. Respect to Skylar, though. I hope her free agency period goes well. I am done. That is the bottom line without overcomplicating things. I am finished. Our future is secure with Caitlin Clark leading the charge at the 1 spot. We cannot have newcomers arriving with the intention of stripping the basketball away from our star. Managing the tension between Kelsey Mitchell and Stephanie White is already draining. Adding more would simply be overkill for this locker room. She would be a great asset elsewhere. Chicago needs a spark, and Connecticut could certainly use another perimeter threat. Wherever she lands is her business, but I definitely do not want her anywhere near the environment surrounding Caitlin Clark. I am just speaking the cold, hard truth. Her ultimate destination is a total mystery to me, but the Indiana Fever should not be on her list. Hit the comment section below and share your personal perspective on this whole situation. To conclude, we are witnessing how the latest collective bargaining agreement is pushing franchises toward these agonizing roster choices. Phoenix boasted 3 top-tier talents but lacked the payroll for everyone. Grier and Copper stayed, Satu left. This budget crunch is hitting the entire league. Connecticut faces a crisis with Elisa Thomas demanding top dollar. The Los Angeles front office is currently sweating, trying to glue their foundation back together. Minnesota's prime is slipping away with an aging roster. Meanwhile, expansion teams are hunting for blood. Golden State, Portland, and Toronto have the cash. They can throw max contracts without bleeding their benches. They are selling a legacy, the chance to be the face of a city and build history. For an outspoken star like Satu Sabali, who craves respect and elite pay, that song is irresistible. But there is a hidden trap. What happens when these new teams realize paychecks don't buy rings? The WNBA isn't the NBA. One lone wolf cannot carry a hollow team to the promised land. The talent is too thick, every game is a war. You need chemistry and gritty role players. Success requires a blueprint. Satu on a max deal, leading a group of cast-offs and minimum salary scraps? Is that a playoff squad? That is the gamble. New franchises will overpay for talent out of desperation. You cannot build through the draft alone, not when the entire process only lasts 3 rounds. They must ignite free agency to sell tickets. Satu Sabali fits that marketing dream perfectly. In 2 years, if Golden State is bottom-feeding while she eats 30% of the cap, then what? Indiana's dilemma with Skylar is a different beast. They aren't hunting for a star, they have one. They need soldiers who understand their role and avoid creating any locker room friction. In all her brilliance, Skylar Diggins-Smith has never truly been a supporting player. She is a general, a primary engine. Expecting her to play limited minutes behind Caitlin Clark is fantasy. Chicago is a viable destination. They are rebuilding around Angel Reese and need veteran floor leadership. Connecticut might bite if they end up losing their defensive anchor, Alyssa Thomas. Even a Dallas homecoming is possible, but Indiana is a collision course masked as nostalgia. Also, age. Skylar is 34. In this league, that is the 11th hour. She has 2 good runs left. Indiana is thinking long-term, with Clark, Boston, and Mitchell all under 26. Why sink a fortune into a veteran whose timeline is miles away from your young core? Let's address the friction. That war between the old guard and the new generation simmering all season. Tension is rising between the icons who built this and the rookies getting the bags and cameras. Skylar is a veteran general. She has been very outspoken about feeling overlooked for years. Dropping her in a room with Caitlin Clark, the symbol of everything vets missed, is a powder keg. Here's the reality. Satu Sabali will break the bank, likely for a desperate expansion squad. She will sign the max, become the billboard star, and prove she can truly carry a franchise. Phoenix will scramble with their duo, praying they can find cheap gems to replace Satu's fire. Every side is rolling the dice. Make no mistake, Skylar Diggins-Smith will definitely see offers. The real test is whether the Indiana front office has the discipline to walk away. They need a humble guard who is happy playing 10 minutes. Someone to steady the ship. Not Skylar. That has never been her brand. Forcing that connection for local sentiment would be a disaster. The new labor rules are performing exactly the task they were designed to do. They are scattering talent and preventing super teams. But it is also creating pure, unadulterated chaos. Dynasties that spent years building foundations are watching them crumble under the cap. Stars are finding that teams must gut the roster to pay them. Predictability has vanished. Watch the newcomers closely. These expansion teams are about to flip the league's power dynamic. If Golden State lands Satu and builds wisely, they are playoff-bound. Without logic, they are doomed. Portland and Toronto face the same crossroads. This is their shot to build a legacy correctly. And definitely keep watching Indiana. Signing Skylar proves they care more about ticket-selling nostalgia than winning around Caitlin Clark. A legendary dynasty is currently within their grasp. Clark's brilliance, combined with Boston's elite skill, spells absolute dominance. Mitchell offers relentless output. Avoid ruining the chemistry by recruiting clashing egos that lack synergy. Give me your thoughts. Is a homecoming for Skylar a masterstroke or a disaster waiting to happen? Where does Satu land? Will she finally seize that leading role she's always coveted? Leave your hot takes in the comments section. If you aren't following yet, subscribe now. This signing frenzy is just igniting and we are about to analyze every single major transaction the moment it breaks.